Welcome. Just as the title says, I'm going to be talking about the most recent news, what is Marathon's art theft. A user on Twitter, Anti-Real, made a tweet thread talking about how there are multiple of their art pieces found throughout Marathon's alpha and subsequently the entire game. Art theft is surprisingly nothing new for Bungie. In fact, this is the fourth time this has happened. However, this is easily the biggest, as the entire art style of Marathon can be traced to Anti-Real's art. Some pieces, dating back nearly 8 years ago, are being used in Marathon, and all without credit or compensation. They have just taken the art and they are using it in their game. And on top of that all, not only is the franchise art director for Marathon following Anti-Real, but a majority of Marathon's art division are. Bungie has made a tweet thread talking about this and how it was a former employee and they're working to give compensation, but 4 times now Bungie has been accused and confirmed of art theft. There is a genuine problem at that company, and to be completely honest, it's heavily tainted my outlook on Marathon. A major thing for me is the art style, and the fact that has been stolen is completely insane. Not only that, but I have artist friends. My fiancée is an artist herself, so seeing a major corporation not only steal, but multiple times from somebody who is struggling to make ends meet is completely disgusting. They still haven't compensated somebody from a art theft scandal from over a year ago, and unless Anti-Real gets paid handsomely and soon, I don't know if I want to spend £40 on a game that's foundations in its art style come from theft. It's not even inspired by Anti-Real's art, it is a literal 1-to-1 images with a contrast change to the point where Anti-Real's own name is in the game and they didn't even remove the watermark from a piece of art that they stole. It's absolutely disgusting. The fact the entire art team follows her and steals her work, and not one person decided to reach out and ask if it's okay or to compensate is insane. The entire design for Marathon is rooted in Anti-Real's art, and Marathon's major thing it has going for it is its art style and how unique it is. I genuinely don't know how this can get resolved. Even if every party is happy, no matter what happens with Marathon now, it's going to permanently have the stain of art theft tied to it. The game was already fighting a massive uphill battle, but this is just a nail in the coffin and we are still 5 months from release. I've been showing pieces of her artwork throughout this entire video, but if you need even more confirmation, here's a bunch of her art from 2017 to 2025. It's so blatantly clear that the entire aesthetic for Marathon has been ripped from Anti-Real's art, and to make matters worse, I'm fairly confident this tweet from the franchise art director is just a lie. Sure, there are definitely some similarities between things that he mentions, but absolutely nowhere near as many as if you compare Anti-Real's art to what he says is the art direction for Marathon. Either way, no matter how you try and spin it or think about it, one thing is very clear. Marathon's entire aesthetic is built on stolen art, and as of right now, I will not be purchasing Marathon. That can change depending on how they handle their situation with Anti-Real, and if she gets paid well. And if not, I just won't be purchasing the game. I don't want to support a game that I've already said is rooted in theft. The entire art style is rooted in theft. None of this, not one person in the entire division at Bungie that have been working on Marathon has reached out to Anti-Real, and that is a genuine problem. That isn't just like a tee-hee, we can move on. There is something wrong with Bungie's team who are working on Marathon. Obviously, I don't expect the people who code how the guns fire and how the AI work to have any idea of what's going on with the art team. However, I do expect somebody who's the person that made the art for Glitch, or the person that made the art for Void, or Blackbird, or made how the Overrun AR looks, or how the UESC security robots look. I expect, if these are all different people, there is no way that not one of them who's been working at Bungie since Marathon has started thought it was weird how they are handling their art style. There's no way not one person at Bungie doesn't know who Anti-Real is and can draw comparisons to their art style. As I've already said, Marathon is fighting a massive uphill battle with a game like Arc Raiders, who also had its tech test at the same time the Marathon Alpha had, and everybody praises the Arc Raiders tech test without really complimenting or saying anything good about the Marathon one. The release window problem that they had, well, kind of has been resolved. Thank fuck Borderlands moved their time forward, and even then I don't think that's going to save Marathon, and obviously GTA 6 getting delayed. But Marathon is already fighting a losing battle and having something as major as the entire game's art style, one of the most unique and interesting things about Marathon, being ripped from another artist, is not a good look at all. Like I already said, I doubt I'm going to be spending money on Marathon at release. I've already had these doubts. I know I'm a Marathon focused creator, but until I see something genuinely incredible about the game, and this is why I've been saying, I don't know if I'm going to get it at launch, I'm very on the fence. Especially because we're not seeing anything good about Marathon coming out. We've seen the alpha, what was a small amount of content, compared to other games that are releasing this around the same time, and its direct competitor being Arc Raiders and Borderlands 4. Marathon isn't necessarily bringing anything crazy to the table. So most people will probably, especially because even if you take away the art set stuff and you just talk about Marathon's battle anyway, it is releasing. Okay, so Marathon and Bungie have been targeting Destiny fans as their we need to get them on board. In the same month they're releasing Marathon, Borderlands 4 is releasing. To put into comparison how insane, it's just suicide. Borderlands 3 is the fastest selling game 2K has ever had. Borderlands 2 is the best selling game 2K has ever had. You compare those numbers to a thing like Marathon, what is an extraction shooter that most people... for just quickly throwing it out there, Borderlands 3, 22 million copies. Borderlands 4, 30 million copies. Obviously, granted, Borderlands 4 has now been over 6 years, and Borderlands 2 has been over 13, what is a lot, do not get me wrong, but that first month is going to make absolute bank for 2K and for Borderlands. What's a looter shooter? Marathon is already fighting, as I've already said 4 times now, an insane battle. They are not winning. They are straight up losing. I'm not going to sit here and try and delude myself into thinking that they have a chance. They are losing. There's no debate about it. And the fact that the entire game, down to even the things that you can compliment about it, like the animation that they had made from the Love, Death and Robots guy, and the reveal cinematics, and the overall aesthetic of the game, whether or not you actually like the gameplay or like the instruction shooter, if you take all of that stuff out, and what you are watching and what you look at is rooted in theft. I cannot actively support that. I cannot sit here and confidently say that I am going to be purchasing Marathon because I know Marathon is rooted through theft. I love the game's aesthetic. I love everything. There is not really one thing about Marathon that I can point at and say I specifically dislike that. I've been wanting a new extraction shooter for console. I've been wanting something so I can just play for a couple hours and actually invest my time into. I've been wanting a new Bungie story because it's Bungie and I like their stories. I'm just done with Destiny. But the time when there finally is a new game and a new world and a new aesthetic and something I can finally sink my teeth into, they have fucked it 5 months before release. How? I don't want to sit here and make negative videos about Marathon. The entire reason that I started this channel and the entire reason I've been uploading and talking about Marathon is because there has been so much negativity around the game. I want to talk positives. And a lot of my favourite games, a lot of their content creators focus on the negatives. A lot of Halo content creators focus on the negatives and rarely talk about the positives, or rarely talk about anything that isn't directly related to the game. And look, you can't blame them. You compare the views to a negative video to a positive video about Halo, it's day and night. Same with every game. You talk about Fortnite, like you go and you look at Fortnite and content creators for there. The people that are saying I dislike this season and I dislike this change are going to be getting infinitely more coverage and more views than the people that are positive about it. I want to be a positive content creator for Marathon because it's a game I care about, with a world I'm interested in, with characters I'm interested in, with a fucking awesome aesthetic, and it's already had so much negative press. I thought maybe some positivity would be nice. But it's hard to be positive when, as I've already said, the game is rooted in theft. The literal one major thing that I feel like, no matter your opinion on Marathon, was that people really, 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 really enjoyed. It was either you loved it or you hated it, was its aesthetic. And the fact that its aesthetic isn't even its own, and that it's just somebody else's, and they've just taken it and said, we'll do our own thing with it. Don't get me wrong, I'm aware that there's a lot of things in Marathon that isn't from Anti-Real's art. Like, I'm aware that Anti-Real didn't directly make Glitch or Void or Thief or Blackbird or whatever, but all of those characters, all of the aesthetic, all the weapons, the vehicles, the buildings, the insides, the outsides, everything, it is all rooted in their art. It is fundamentally, the game's entire art style is just Anti-Real's, and they've plastered Bungie over it. Anti-Real, the only way that I genuinely think I can kind of sit here and, like, confidently purchase Marathon in the future is one of two ways. Either Anti-Real gets heavily credited in the video game and compensated, or she gets credited and she can work at Bungie. She said she's unemployed. The entire fucking Marathon aesthetic is ripped from her art. Like, she lives overseas and she's an artist, so she doesn't even necessarily have to be at Bungie headquarters. She can just stay in Scotland. Like, whatever happens here, she needs to be compensated one way or the other. And I think one of those ways could be giving her a job. However, that's still, even if they do give her a job and invite her over to work at Bungie and this, that, and the other, I would still want her to get heavily compensated. That you can't even say that, like, her art doesn't fit Marathon, or she won't work well with Bungie or whatever, because Marathon is built from her work. Everything in Marathon is built from her work. Either way, look, I've gone off script for the last, 5 minutes now. I'm talking way too much. I feel like I've covered everything, but essentially, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be supporting Marathon. I'm going to be following this situation with Anti-Real very closely, but if you can do at the absolute minimum, I'm going to link her Twitter in the description of this video. Please go and follow her, go and support her. Like, she deserves it at the absolute minimum. Thank you for watching.